Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every Bare Naked Lady song out of chronological order, so every episode feels like a quantum leap, where every week we hope will be the leap home. Joining me in my wonderful journey this week, we have Steffan and Jeff. Thank you for joining me.
Hello, everyone.
Hello there.
Now, even like Sam, he leapt twice into the same body. And we will do the same thing this week, where we leap into the same song 2 weeks in a row. Why? Because these gentlemen were not able to join us last week, and I have them have their say on this song as well. Basically, I want to sit here and listen to them talk for the next hour.
Because you've already talked about the song yourself.
I object.
So.
I would put it towards the education budget.
Let's end our political commentary right there. I have already gone off. I'm going to sit back and be the moderator to... Wait, no, that's probably not a good term to use.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit back and mostly listen to the discussion this week, and maybe throw a few things in, and for the most part, I'm going to be eating my If I Had a Million Flavors.
So this week, we're going to do something a little bit different. Last week, I asked you all to send in what would you do if you had $1 million. And some people responded. So throughout the episode this week, we will be putting in clips of people saying what they would do if they had $1 million.
So, Steffan, have you listened to this week's song yet?
Have I? It is the song. It's my jam.
We're into deep cut territory right now.
That's right, man. You cut me deep right there, Ma. You keep me deep. You cut me deep. That's right. So, yes, this is the song that got me into BNL, and this is the song that keeps me in it. I love it. So, yes, I've listened to it over and over.
What about you, Jeff? Have you ever heard tonight's song?
No, not until earlier this week when you asked me to listen to it. It's the first time First time I was ever able to listen to this one. I was impressed. It was a decent. No, I've heard this.
Oh, that's
this
it.
is.
I had to try really hard to listen to this song. I had to stop it a few times and restart again.
Why is that?
Because I love it so much.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, maybe it's like
if I miss one note, I'm like, nope, we got to start over.
To go a little.
No, I would say this is probably, along with 1 week, the song. It's the BNL song. I don't think anyone would argue that. I mean, if you ask a random sample size group of people, 100 people, what BNL song they know, this is probably going to be the one that gets mentioned next to 1 week.
I'd say 1 week.
And possibly Pinch Me if it's just a random group.
Now, would it surprise you to know that this has been on 12 different releases?
It would not.
Wow.
No, because it's going on every live track, every live album.
That's not counting the live tracks.
What?
That's counting the live albums, but not the live tracks, like where they recorded the show.
Yeah. Any live album's going to include this song, so we know that.
I'd say this song, as well as a lot of other select songs from Gordon, are their bread and butter. I mean, that's the go-to. It's what really launched them into stardom.
Well, it's funny you say that. You would think that's true. But interestingly enough, this was when it came to releasing this as a single, this was the 7th single that they released.
Huh.
It did not get released until Gordon had already come out.
No kidding. So what is their bread and butter? What was their first release single?
That depends if you're talking Canadian or American.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
it does. I mean, they hit big in Canada a while before they were big in the U.S. So
I see.
Depends on what you want to call their big
Canadian.
song.
I got you.
Their first real release at all was "Lovers in a Dangerous Time."
Dan, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Hi, Bare Naked ABCs. This is Dan from Guilderland, New York. If I had $1 million, I'd buy my own miniature golf course.
It was one of those songs that it is a staple of every show. It's in every single show they've ever done except one. So,
do we know why they didn't do it in that one?
They only had 3 or 4 songs, and they didn't believe it was in Germany, and they didn't believe that the audience would understand what was being said.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on. 99 Luftballons? Come on. The Germans understand their numbers.
They understand the numbers, but there's no numbers in this song.
1 million.
1 million?
No, it's not 1 million. It's a million. They never say the word one.
Oh, well, there's still a million. I can't believe we're having this argument.
Of course we are.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We'll just have more.
We talked.
I see what you did there.
We talked about house level for an hour, Steffan. I think
this is why we're going to have 2 weeks worth.
That's true. Oh my gosh!
Last week we talked for an hour and a half about this song, and I was like, "There's no way that I can get Steffan and Jeff to talk for 5 minutes about this song. That's not going to happen."
In fact, I'm worried about when we get to the rankings because. The more I thought about how I was going to rank this and how I was going to place this, I realized it's the explanation alone for how I would rank this is going to be a rambling, crazy thing.
And it was last week as well.
Maybe we should just get right to it. Maybe it's going to be revenge for how I scored the last song. Sorry, Jeff.
All right.
No, that's okay.
So, ratings. No, I'm just kidding. So Aaron gave us his breakdown last night and gave us all the fundamentals of the song, which were pretty basic. So let's go to talking about the song and your reactions and thoughts about this essential hit.
I can't speak for all B&L fans, but this was not the one that brought me to the dance. And I think if I had heard this song before I got into Bare Naked Ladies, I don't know if I would have attributed it to a B&L song. I mean, I might have. Per se. I mean, I knew the song, I had heard it kind of thing, but it was just kind of there, and I enjoyed it a lot. But when I officially got into Bare Naked Ladies, and I've talked about this before, I really kind of hit when Maroon came out. That's when I began. Again, 1 week was there. It was kind of in the back, and I enjoyed 1 week, and it's going to sound weird to say, but 1 week didn't make me a B&L fan. So it was kind of like, that's a cool song. I heard it on the radio. I've grown to love it more, but it was not until Maroon came out, and it was a weird time. It was because I think I mentioned this too. It's because they had the song on that NHL. They had the on the NHL Live. My girlfriend and I at the time just loved that song, and that's why I went out and got. I just happened to go down to the local fair in town, and they had a copy of Maroon in one of their discount bins. And that's what made me a fan. I listened to Maroon 80 billion times that first week. And then I started finding everything I could that was, all things B&L. And, of course, that brought me back to $1 million. What are you calculating? They can't see you, Tracy. What are you calculating there?
Well, you said you listened to it 80 million times in the first week. And I was trying to figure out if that's even possible since
it might not be, sir. It might not be.
Yeah.
No, I don't exaggerate at all. But so yeah,
Ever.
that brought me back to $1 Million, and I love the song, and I don't see how anyone can't love this song at all. Really, it's so much fun. It's so like we said, and we'll get to that, more with the rankings as well too. It's a very simple song. It's not complicated in any way. It's not musically complicated. It's not lyrically complicated. It's not like compared to a lot of things, even on Gordon alone, let alone their body of work. What's not to love? I mean, this is the one song. I mean, this is a comedy song, and that's my oeuvre is comedy music. And this is a funny song, maybe not a more universal funny song than comedy music, which has a much smaller fan base. But it's a great feel-good piece, and you can't help but smile listening to $1 Million.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's I think
I agree.
the best thing you could say about the song is I don't think it's possible. That the other day I was a few weeks ago. Now this is going to be off timing because of when it actually airs, but I actually did have to get a COVID test because of some symptoms and had to quarantine away from my family for the 3 days while I was waiting. I have a 2-year-old son here, and I basically created a little cave in the playroom area with my work stuff and had very limited contact with anybody. And it was a miserable 3 days. And during that time, though, I think I was looking up something BNL that I wanted to find. I had a thought about a Stephen Page thing or something. Might have been about a recent song I just released. I don't know. But I was looking up something, and I stumbled on the Juno Awards, I believe it was, the Juno. And I saw the live version that they did when Andy and Steve came back and sang with the band again. And I think that to me is just this sheer nostalgia of it. Andy back on piano, Steve and the band having fun again, doing this song. And I just sat there and smiled and laughed, and it was a great feeling, in a rough period. And that's what the song does for you.
And I think that's really interesting because, as I mentioned, it was only their 7th single. And they only released it as a single when people were calling the radio stations constantly asking for this song. And the management was like, oh, we should probably release that as a single. That might be a good idea to do. They had 230 songs about it at that point. Actually, I'd say almost 270 songs at that point that they could have chosen from. And if you're going with just the Stephen era, they still had 200 songs to go from. They had 2 songs to pick. They chose One Week, which is, of course, their big hit that made them a lot of money. And then the other song wasn't their first single. It wasn't their best-selling single. It was this one, because this one wasn't even their best-selling single ever.
Right.
It was their fan favorite that they would play at every single show. And like you said, they brought Andy back up on stage to play this song with them. So you had all 6 BNL members there at the same time.
That's awesome. So, Jeff, out of curiosity, what is the song that brought you to BNL?
I won't get too much into it because you're going to have me 3 years from now, but probably still one of my favorite songs of all time, which is Off the Hook. Off the Hook is one of my favorite BNL songs of all time. I mean, I love the album, and obviously every song, Build by Build, is great on there. I love Sell, Sell, Sell and Conventioneers, and Falling for the First Time. It's just Maroon is just an amazing, amazing album. But I think of Off the Hook when I got to that one, and just the emotional impact of that song, and some of the best lyrics they've ever written. I think that was, I think, the clincher for me. But
cool.
By a narrow margin, because I was already enjoying the album by the time. Off the Hook is near the end of the album, but I was already enjoying it. But I mean, that was the one where I was like, this is one of my favorite bands of all time.
That's awesome. Good to know. Maybe that can help bring people.
Like I said, I've listened to every other album they've ever done since then, but Off the Hook is still one of my favorite BNL songs.
It's still off the hook for you.
Yeah. It's still off the hook. It's off the hook.
All right, well, let's let Jeff off the hook for a moment, and let's ask you some questions, Steffan. Steffan, what are your thoughts on this song?
I remember being in my cousin's red Jeep. Top was down. We're cruising down Congress Street in Portland, and we've got the CD in the CD player. Back when you had to actually put one into your vehicle because they didn't come with them, and this song came on, and it's a bright sunny day. It's just a beautiful day, And this is it captures the playfulness and the personality and the creativity and the fun that is essentially BNL. And that's what really caught me to it. And I just thought it was fun. And it's like, who couldn't relate to wanting to have $1 million and thinking, what would I do if I had that? And it's a bunch of kids that, really related to me, because I was in that frame where I was in high school. I was trying to think of what's next. I think we're seniors at that stage. Gosh, yeah, what would we do with $1 million and have fun? And it opens up your mind to dreaming and building of a potential future for yourself. And it's fun, it's creative, and it's silly, and it's they joke, and it's just great. It's just an all around fun, wonderful song. And that was the song, the first song that I think I really remember and pay attention to, be like, okay, who is this band? And that's what it was. That was my hook into BNL. And that's what my hook into Gordon. And yeah, I haven't given the other albums a shot. I should give Maroon a shot. I've heard great things about that. I think I'll pass on Snack Time. But other things.
You liked Humongous Tree.
I did. I really did.
You need to give it a chance just on that alone.
I know. I had fun. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. So yeah, okay, fine. I might buy Snack Time. I did have Rock Spectacle. I don't know where it went. I think it was stolen with most of my belongings when I moved out to California. Yeah, Gordon is the album that I bought again. And I have it in my truck, and I drive around. I throw it in every now and then. And again, my truck does not have a CD player, so I have one of those little portable jog ones that I just throw it in, and we're good. But I love that song. I absolutely love it. It's one of there they are. Tracy, in case the listeners cannot see, which of course you can't, he's holding up both versions of Gordon, the original and the new cover with the red and white and blue ball that's in the front. And it's great. I love the song. It's my favorite.
Catherine Cornetta, what would you do if you had $1 million?
If I had $1 million, I would buy my parents a house. A new house. Yes. That's what I would do with $1 million. Yes.
Now, you mentioned that it was simple. Do you know why this song was so simple, Jeff?
Was there a reason it was simple? I mean, I know this was one of the first ones they had. This goes all the way back to the early demo tapes that they did that we listened to.
It goes back beyond that.
And I mean, I guess that would be my first thing, is maybe this was two guys hanging. I mean, this is what the song feels like, honestly. It's two guys just jamming on a guitar that were coming up with lyrics. And even to this day, I mean, some of the lyrics intentionally or not intentionally sound improv. Like the little dialogue parts, obviously, that we've all come to know and love during some of the breaks there. I mean, if this was intentionally simple, I would be surprised. But my thought would be because it's just one of the first things they did. Like, and Steve just sitting there kind of jamming, and that's don't fix something if it ain't broke. That's the way it stayed.
Like amateur performers who are, they came up with the song. Well, if we strike it big, what would we do with $1 million? And voila, a song was born almost.
Actually, it has an even more really kind of cute story behind it than that.
Well, tell us, Mr. Como.
Which you probably talked about last week too, huh?
I did. So I will probably just say at this point, I'm going to cut out my explanation here.
Okay.
So people can go to that and last week and now listen to your reactions. And then they started playing off each other, and it was just banter. It was them reacting to each other, and that's where this came from.
Of course, now I just picture one of the kids going, Mr. Ed, who's Art Garfunkel?
Yeah. And what's an ottoman?
And why is he remaining?
Why is he remaining? Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff came in later.
Okay, that makes more sense.
He kept it more to like what happened at the camp that day. So
Although
I
I can see shades of that, like the tree fort. I can see that coming out of the singing with the kids thing. I mean, maybe not, but I mean that'd be adorable. You know, we built a tree fort in our yard,
and it really was the first song that Ed and Steve wrote together.
Right.
That's awesome. I didn't know that about their camp experiences, and that's how they met, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's great.
Do you guys want to jump right to ratings, or should we discuss some of the lyrics?
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's lyrics. Well, there's not much to discuss about lyrics, really.
Well, one thing I didn't bring up about lyrics is we have all these different versions of the song, and I didn't mention last night.
Oh, my Lord.
Right, because it changes every time they do it live.
Yes, it's really different each time they do it live. And I want to kind of break down some of the differences that we see in some of these versions. So on the Hello City, which is one of their early versions, they make fun of the lick at the very beginning of the song. So they're already making fun of themselves, and they're playing the song. And then they add in this lick that we always hear and we always think of it as part of it. But before this, like if you listen to Buck Naked, that lick isn't in there.
Are you ready for it? Heavy lick. Oh, heavy lick. Okay, I'm gonna get adventurous. Here it goes. The same lick again. All right. But it sounds fresh every time. That's what I like about that lick.
He's never screwed up that lick
It's
once.
just like the lettuce on the McDonald's McChickens. Fresh every time.
This is something they just had recently added,
Right.
and they're making fun of themselves for adding it in there. And then they're doing banter about a very aggressive version of this that they had done the night before at a college. I'll put that in right here.
You could open up the fridge, and there would be non-alcoholic beverages for all. No, see, we were playing at Queen's University in Kingston last night. Well, you know, people were pouring beer on each other and stuff, and they were being really obnoxious, but we did this song. I think, you know, they were all singing along, and they knew all the words, like these guys, and I was very impressed. But it was the most aggressive version of this song that I've ever heard. It was like, if I had $1 million! Testosterone mix. Not that we weren't digging it. Though. No, I think it was that we weren't digging it.
Because it's actually some of the best banter. It really is hilarious hearing them talking with each other early on. Instead of saying an emu, they say an alpaca.
I think I've heard a version where they say that, yeah.
And then at the end of this version, they say some son of a bitch would die, which is a throw out to If I Had a Rocket Launcher by Bruce Cockburn.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Which was also a song that they wrote, and I think is very similar to Helicopters.
No, wait, say that again? If I had a rocket launcher.
If I Had a Rocket Launcher by Bruce Cockburn.
So that's a weird story to me. I need to spin off on it. Maybe you don't know this, Tracy, but because I'm pretty hardcore into the comedy music scene. And there's been, to my knowledge, 3, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but I sometimes write parodies. There's been 3 great parodies, to my knowledge, of a Bare Naked Ladies song. One was done by Weird Al Yankovic for 1 week. There was another one recently that some jerk did. And there was...
Which is an amazing one, and I'm going to put it in right here.
Moved into my new apartment. Fought with Dad and said so long. Won't get lost, folks seem friendly. Cloak in my house, broken glass. What could possibly go wrong?
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then Insane Ian Bonds actually did a parody called If I Had a Rocket Launcher, and that's the only time I've heard that. So in my note, like I'd heard that, I was like, oh, this is an Insane Ian parody. I didn't realize there were already some variations of that floating around there. So that's pretty cool.
If I had a rocket rocket launcher. I wouldn't have to cheat anymore if I had a rocket launcher. Rocket fire would believe in the score if I had a rocket launcher. Maybe I could use a rocket to find you in a Tetris someday.
You know, why do you always have to wait for that one long bar to eliminate 4 lines and get a Tetris? Why can't you just eliminate everything on screen with a well-placed missile?
Yeah, and since it's a Russian game, you can say something clever like "Dos Vidanya, comrade."
I mean, definitely.
So is it a parody, or like did he parody?
He parodied If I Had $1 million
ladies?
and called it If I Had a Rocket Launcher and made it about video games.
So that's interesting because If I Had $1 million and Helicopters both refer back to that Bruce Cockburn song, and I wonder if he intentionally was referring back to that Bruce Cockburn song as well.
Oh yeah, I was not aware of that. I have to ask him that because he's actually a friend of mine, and I don't know if he knew that. But no, I got to sing this parody with him at FumFest in 2019. I got to do the Steve parts, and so it was a great time. You will be able to find it. It's on Bandcamp. Yeah, you can find that.
I find everything that's on the web. I go really dark into the dark.
Yeah, Ian released 4 albums this year, and he did release the FumFest live album, and it's on there.
Okay.
He had asked me a week before, "Do you want to join me on stage with this?" And we sat in the car and practiced it for about an hour.
Nice.
Trevor, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Oh man, I'd probably buy a lot more instruments. I've got plenty now, but I think there could always be more. And then the craft dinner for sure, just more craft dinner.
Always craft dinner.
Always
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Exactly, and I have the money to do that.
Jeff, I have to ask you: have you learned this song yet?
Have I learned this one? No. The only B&L song I can somewhat play now is Old Apartment, because that's the one I parodied for 1BR.
Because
I've not learned this one yet. So,
Aaron said that this was a pretty simple song. It's a 1-5-4-1, and then it goes 4-5-1 on the chorus.
I think I've looked up the chord structure at one point, and I saw that it was definitely playable. At my stage of the game, which is not a hefty stage of the game by any means, but which Old Apartment is also actually a very simple song to play. I don't want to say simple, but it's not as crazy as a lot of their stuff.
Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I do want to bring up a few more of the versions. On the early versions on the demo tapes, it's very basic, especially with Buck Naked. We don't have the Creegans. We don't have Tyler. It's definitely not finished. The energy's not there. And they were skipping the banter and really hurrying along.
Yeah, we talked about that when we did Buck Naked.
Yeah. And then on the yellow tape, same thing. It's very hurried banter. They skip a lot of that banter, but the lines are starting to get cemented. So it's really fun to see this song coming together slowly and but surely. The banter on Talk to the Hand, which is a video cassette DVD of a video cassette. Okay. It's a DVD of their live performance in Michigan. Their banter in that is excellent. They are on point. This is, in the 2000s. They're getting big and they're having fun up on stage. B&L also did a Selfie Cam Jam of this recently, and I will say it's the best banter that I've seen since Steven left the band.
Who banters in that version? Who banters in that version?
It's both. Yeah, Ed, Kevin, and Tyler are bantering in that version. I think Jim's even got some parts in there. And it's great because we also get to see Jim's kids come in and sing during the last chorus, and we get to see Tyler's daughter singing in the last chorus. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Other than that, the only thing that really ever changes is the banter. As I mentioned last night, like that's the staple of this song, is the banter is meant to be different every single time it's played.
And I can see with that story that you told us about the camp school bus. Now it makes sense. I never really understood why they would do that, but now it makes sense that was a part of the original design of the song and the purpose of the song. And it's kind of fun how they do that.
Now, one of the things I mentioned last night, let's talk a little bit about the lyrics. Your guys' thoughts on the lyrics. I'm going to shut up since I've done a lot of talking.
Well, I think they...
Oh, go ahead, Steffan.
No, I was just going to say, I think they were wondering what they would do with $1 million, primarily. But go ahead, Jeff. What's your take?
Well, I don't know if I'd put it quite that way. I mean, I think it's a love song. So, I mean, I don't mean to go too deep into it, but it's a love song. Here's what I would do for you if I had $1 million.
Yes.
So, so that, I think that's a big part of it. It's a ballad, and it's a love song in a way, just a funny one that, he's trying to impress or be supportive of the person that he's with, and he's saying to them, if I was rich, here's all the things I would do for you because you earn it. They just do it in a very fun, playful way with a lot of references, some of which are delightfully obscure. I mean, I'm sure even if I played this for a bunch of people today, there's jokes in here they wouldn't get. Even the Art Garfunkel, or John Merrick, so I think that's fun too. I mean, there's a little bit of a highbrow. It's a simple song, but there's some highbrow stuff in here, But but overall, I'd say the lyrics are intentionally very simple. This is not Brian Wilson lyrically. This is not Flag or Off the Hook or anything like that. But it wasn't supposed to be that. It was written with kids to begin with, and it was supposed to be a fun, playful little song, and it works like that.
Yeah.
There's some really funny lines, and I love the banter about the we have the food's laid out for us, like for little pre-wrapped sausages. They have pre-wrapped sausages, but we don't have pre-wrapped bacon. Can you blame them? I mean, who doesn't chuckle every time you get that? If you don't chuckle at that part, audience, we can't be friends. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, wow! The ultimatum. The ultimatum.
I'm kidding. I'm glad that we can still be friends. We just won't listen to the song.
And audience members, I know you don't have video. You're just listening in on this this podcast. But Jeff is wearing his green dress tonight, and or is it a green T-shirt, Jeff?
It's a green T-shirt.
A green T-shirt.
So it's not a real green dress.
Not as cruel. It's not a real green dress because that would be cruel.
Good.
And we know that.
That's good. A little less fabric too.
So I wanted to bring up something I found out this week. Some I kind of recognized before, but learned this week. A lot of the references of the obscure stuff that comes in later in this song is actually stuff that Michael Jackson bought.
Like pre-wrapped bacon?
He bought Art Garfunkel?
No, but he bought a llama or an emu. He bought animals that had a zoo in his yard.
He had a monkey, yeah.
He had John Merrick's remains.
He did?
Did he? No, I don't think he ever had them. He talked about buying them.
He talked about buying them.
He never actually
He owned a limousine. He also, owned Bubbles, the monkey.
Had a lot of ketchup.
Most interestingly, though, is that he bought a dress for Elizabeth Taylor. It was a green dress, an emerald green dress, but not real emeralds.
Oh. No, I always got that the John Merrick line was a Michael Jackson reference. I didn't go that deep into it although I should have. The llama and the emu and the monkey should have been also giveaways.
Just goes to show the Canadian education system is much more advanced than we are.
And I actually just went online to see if Michael Jackson owned some art, and he did not own an Art Garfunkel or an art.
Or a Picasso.
Yeah.
That is probably my favorite line in the entire song.
That is a very smart line.
That's awesome.
Because most people are going to misunderstand that unless they understand who Art Garfunkel is.
It's a double reference, and I'm a sucker for a good double reference, and I love that. I mean, it might be dated now, but
one of the reasons why I really love the song is just the lyrical genius and the play on words, and it really does captivate and capture how their minds work. And it's just so much fun. Without the darkness, really.
Now, they recorded a different version of this every day during Gordon. So as they were recording Gordon, they would do a different version of this every single day that they came into the studio to record. Michael Philip Voyevoda, I want the demo tapes of other versions of this song. I need to hear the other copies of this song so I can hear the other options that you chose from.
That'd be fun. That would be fun.
We know you own them still.
So,
Just figure there's a lot of times where so much of that great expensive ketchup part was left out because by that point they were being pelted by macaroni and cheese. So
that's right. So I didn't know that they had connections with the Patriots either.
They did?
Well, of course. Kraft dinners. They must be Patriots fans. What? What are you guys laughing?
Oh my goodness. That was a well-crafted joke.
that was yeah.
Oh.
And I knew there was a punchline coming. I wasn't quite there.
Well, Jeff, the punchline wasn't quite there either.
That was a field goal.
I know. Yep. There we go.
Eric Butterworth, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Hey there, I'm Eric, and Tracy asked me what I would do if I had $1 million. Well, if I did, I'd take my wife on a worldwide Disney tour. Visiting every park has been on our bucket list for a while now, and $1 million should easily be able to accomplish that. Of course, I'd also make sure to sneak several female concert in the mix, because if she gets that much Disney, I get that much B&L. Thanks, and that was fun.
Well, I would rank this song. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
What is
Go
the
ahead.
ranking system?
Actually, I was going to say, what's the ranking system, Jeff?
Don't you already have a ranking system from last week?
Don't.
Or?
We don't.
What?
No?
Because we knew that you would have to that it's your job to rank to come up with the ranking. So we threw something in there, and I don't even remember what it was because it was just we knew it was a throw-in until we would come to you.
How about our Garfunkels?
I was gonna say emus.
Oh, see, I chose Jeff's favorite. You said you like that part.
Who doesn't like saying the word emu? I say it all the time.
Emu.
In inappropriate and inappropriate situations because it's such a fun word to say.
Oh, absolutely. And they make great burgers.
I'll stick an emu wherever I can.
Whoa, Jeff, that's a little personal there, pal. I think this is a rated G podcast.
Steffan, how many emus do you give this song?
Oh, I don't know now. I'm starting to think about what to do with an emu. If I had $1 million, I would definitely.
No, we would not do that with an emu.
No, not with an emu. Sorry, Jeff.
Llamas, okay. Emus, no. They kick.
Absolutely. Well, llamas could spit, I guess. Yeah. No, that's alpaca. They don't spit. Llamas do spit. Oh dear, that went way. I just realized what I had said after I had said it. Sorry, guys.
Alpaca swallow is going into.
Oh my!
That will not even make it.
Hey, I didn't take it there. This is the first podcast episode that I did not take it there. You have to give me props on that one, pal. But no, this being
not a problem. I don't mind sitting on the cutting room floor every once in a while.
That was my dirty mind. I will admit that was my dirty mind that took it there.
That's awesome. Well, this being my cherry popping moment with Bare Naked Ladies, and this song has resonated with me for a long time, and I can't tell you how many times I've thought about having $1 million, and gosh, this is quintessential BNL for me. So I would say I'm going to rank this sucker. I have to rank it a 5 for me. I was going to say like a 4.98 or something retarded like that, but no offense to those people who are of that inclination. But that's what I was going to rank it, and I'm like, nah, let's go full Monty.
Letting it all hang out. All right.
Absolutely. No one to hold them.
So when I was thinking about this a lot when I knew this was coming up, and probably more so than a lot of the songs we do, I really wanted to think about how I was going to rank this. And I said, please don't ramble on. Yeah. But we know that's inevitable. So good thing we're splitting the weeks up, I guess. But no, seriously, if my knee-jerk reaction, if you said, what do you rank if I had $1 million, it's going to be high because I don't want to speak for all B&L fans, but I feel like most B&L fans, this is a nostalgia track. This is the one they come back to. This is the one you want to see them do. If you went to a show and they didn't play this, you'd probably be upset. So, it's regardless of where it ranks in your echelon of the other songs. But then I kind of thought to myself, okay, let's strip away the nostalgia part. Let's strip away, this is BNL, the fun part and everything. Not that I think, and I'm not a big fan of ranking by an arbitrary criteria either. I've never liked that for movies or music and saying, that just gets me in trouble with like critics and stuff. But I don't believe in saying, this is what a song should sound like. This is what a movie should look like. This is our criteria, because art is too subjective for that. People are going to rank based on how much they love the lyrics, how much they love the beat, how much they love the music, how much they love, how good it makes them feel, or how bad it makes them feel. It's inevitable that those are going to go to your rankings. And I wanted to take into account those other factors, though, the lyrics and the music. And so I started to think, okay, is this lyrically Brian Wilson? Is it lyrically The Flag or Call and Answer later on, or Off the Hook, or even 1 week? Is it lyrically there? And I wouldn't say that it is. I don't think it is lyrically there. It doesn't have necessarily all the good puns and stuff that BNL is going to be known for, throughout the years. And musically, we talk all the time about how people are stunned by BNL. Like, they're legit consummate musicians. They do stuff that nobody expects. He said, I could play this on guitar, and that's not to discredit it. Like, my 7-1 guitar, I could probably pull this off in some level. I could pull off certain BNL songs, whereas, and I'm probably wrong on that anyway, by the way. But let's be compared to another BNL song musically and lyrically. This, I would argue, is not to that level. That said, do I feel darn good every time I listen to this song? Yeah. Do I feel it's a fantastic, fun song and it does its job? Yeah. I couldn't give it a 5 because of that. I would have to say, for me, putting all that in perspective, and I'm going to get hate mail for this, and I'm sorry, but keep in mind, I still love the song, but I would put this song at a 4.5.
You're not going to get the hate mail. I'm going to get the hate mail for that.
I was thinking I had to go outside and start up my car, taking that road trip down to Pennsylvania.
So your ranking is lower, basically.
Oh yeah, it is lower, but it was almost exactly the same words that I said last night. With the song, I gave it a 4.3 for the same reason. But yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but I'm really saying is I'm the one that gets all the emails anyways. So the hate mail's not going to you.
And I was probably around there. Like I said, this one was a tough one to rank. Yeah. I was probably in the 4.2, 4.3 as well. But like I said, we've gotten to, and we're gonna get the songs that I think are artistically better, and I have to bump up a song higher for that reason.
I ranked it.
That doesn't apply. Not everyone's going to feel that way.
Artistically, I think lyrically, as far as the creativity goes, and being able to bring up the different aspects of what would you do with $1 million and the randomness of that, I thought it was quite creative. So yes, I ranked it just sentimentally. I mean, it's all sentimental for me.
Which, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you would have asked me initially, I would have totally ranked it a 5 sentimentally.
Tyler, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Hey, Tracy and the gang, Bare Naked Ladies fans. This is Tyler Boudreau from Wildcat Minute, the High School Musical podcast, here to share what I would do if I had $1 million, as it were. So, with that sum of money, I think, first of all, I need to, pay off my student loans, pay off that student debt, get that right out of the way. Toss some to my sister and my friends, see if I can help them out a bit. Make sure my family's all safe and secure. Then after that, one mission, I tell you, make my podcast popular enough. You can make any podcast popular with money. I just want my podcast, Wildcat Minute, the High School Musical podcast, where we talk about High School Musical 1 minute at a time. You can find it under the podcast feed name Amateur Nerds. That's our brand. I just want that podcast to be big enough where I can start going on other podcasts as guests all the time. They invite me on. They say, hey, we have Tyler on this week. And I just go around, have other podcasts, my podcast, maybe open a Patreon, start making money from the podcast. But sometimes you got to spend money to make money. So I'm going to spend that fraction of my $1 million on getting my podcast out in the world. But hey, if you're listening to me now, you've already heard it. So thank you. Anyway, that's what I do with $1 million. Probably other people should spend it more prudently. Anyway, bye.
So, because we're talking about wealth, this week I am giving away tons of appearances. So listen up, because these appearances have even more information in them about this song. There is in our liner notes a link for the intimate and interactive appearance that they did on that TV show. I highly recommend, if you love this song, if you love listening to Stephen and Ed banter, you have to go out and listen to this version. It's really early on with them. I would say it's the best banter I've ever heard them do, such that even Stephen starts breaking up in the middle of the lyrics.
That's kind of cool.
Also, I don't have to remind everyone about the contest by Kraft earlier this year, where not only did they do a Stephen Page commercial, but on top of it, they released special Dijon ketchup as part of the contest.
Oh, no kidding.
Also, there is the Strombo concert that they did after the Juno Awards. And the great thing about that is they have Fred Penner that's playing with them on this song. For those who don't know, Fred Penner is a Canadian children's musical performer who had a very famous Canadian TV show called Fred Penner's Place on CBC. And they do some good banter afterwards and talk a little bit more about the song and where it came from after that. There is also an interview that Stephen did on QTV where he talks about this song and where it came from and how proud he is of the song and still enjoys it. He says it's not his, it's not like it's the best body of work that he's ever done, but at the same time, he's very proud of this song.
And he should be.
There's 2 behind the vinyls where they play the song on vinyl while the people are talking about it. There's one with Steve, and then there's a separate one with Ed and Tyler. I recommend that people go out and listen to that.
Well, that's great, Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Now, I do want to ask, first of all, Steffan, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Oh, gosh. I should have thought of this before we started this program.
We had no idea you were going to ask this.
You said you've been thinking about it for 30 years.
I know. I still haven't decided. There's so many different things. I thought about skydiving, and no, not for me. Maybe go on a vacation.
Maybe a salmon dinner.
Ooh, I do like salmon dinner.
Spinny rides.
Oh.
No, that would regurgitate the salmon dinner.
We just regurgitated that joke from 3 months ago.
Sure did. Oh gosh.
Shoot it up and spit it back out.
Well, so where would you go? Where would you vacation?
Well, I would take the time to travel the world. I really would. And I would go and explore in China, and I'd explore Costa Rica and Argentina, Belize, Fiji, a lot of tropical locations, most definitely, probably Iceland, and
Fiji, tropical, Iceland.
I'm not like combining these in a temperate.
I just love where your brain goes.
It's all over the place, really.
Maybe slip over by the Antarctic for a little while.
No, I would try to focus on me. I would go on a number of different retreats and try to do some holistic health recuperation things, and I would try to meet up with a lot of people who I would try to turn into my mentors, both financially, spiritually.
Jeff, what would you do if you had $1 million?
I would invest in a COVID vaccine.
And you would be well loved for that.
No, let's assume that it's a normal world, and you're asking me this question, which it's not. But if I had $1 million, I mean, I would put it towards, school for my kids as much as I could, help them get to school. I mean, that's probably going to cover the most. I mean, there's, of course, other things I'd like to do, like travel again with my wife, go places. I'd want to invest some of it into music stuff, like actual equipment and being able to pay for, tracks and production and things like that to put out albums. But
guys, this next week is going to be super, super hard for me. When it comes to analyzing, this next week's song is not one that I can listen to with the kids around. And, well, where I do most of my song reviewing.
In the toilet.
No.
In the bedroom, in the car.
In the car.
In the shower.
In the car. Took me a second there.
I was like, Jeff is gonna get this. He's gonna be right on.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I see where he's going. Yeah, in the cars next week.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that would be a tricky one with kids. Yeah, that's just no explaining you have to do that.
No, we'll get into more of that next week. But yeah, I'm not explaining that one to the kids.
Yeah,
not yet.
Yeah, makes them strong.
No, it doesn't.
This is Sparta.
Nope. Have a great week and thanks. That was fun.
Thanks everyone. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.